All right, so let's look at performing the hand-to-hand kettlebell swing. Right, so the hand-to-hand swing, that exercise is going to help us learn a few things. Number one, how to begin to understand the concept of taming the arc. And number two, it's really going to emphasize the need for a strong leg drive and a strong vertical plank. In other words, generating a strong float on the bell. Number one, as far as generating float, okay, we know that our kettlebell swing is a ballistic, right? Exercise is only ballistic if there's a moment where our element is defying gravity, right? So if the kettlebell is not becoming weightless at some point throughout the cycle of the swing, then we don't have a ballistic, and therefore we cannot have a proper clean, a proper snatch, or a proper hand-to-hand swing. Okay. That being said, one way that we can ensure that we are ready to begin to practice the hand-to-hand swing is going back to our two-hand swing and performing swings in a way that's going to allow us to ideally take our hands off the bell for about a second, okay? So that we know that we're getting that float at the top of the swing, right? At the finish there. So we're gonna perform a couple of two-hand swings, and we'll run that in slow motion so that you can see if I am getting a float and having that moment where I can take my hands off the bell. Good. All right, so there you should notice that at the apex of the swing, I'm able to just kind of relax my grip and allow my fingers to loosen up and actually let the bell go for a moment or two, and where that bell is weightless, okay? Now those swings went pretty high up there. Obviously you don't need to swing that high, it depends on the bell size that you're using, but just finding that moment, right, where we are able to really fully relax the grip, let that handle just kind of float between your fingers and your thumb, and know that you are getting that float, right? Remember, that float's coming from the forces that you're generating by driving through the ground and maintaining the connection, okay, of the upper arm rib cage, right, which is transferring those forces from the floor, boop. You hit that standing plank, relaxed arms, allows that bell to float, reconnect, back into our hinge and into our subsequent reps. But make sure that we are getting that transfer, that we got a good strong vertical plank, that we're getting some float, right? That's gonna set you up to begin to practice the hand-to-hand swing, okay? So, rewinding back here to the first thing that hand-to-hand swings are good for is beginning to understand the concept of taming the arc, right? Remember, throughout all your skills, the bell and its mass and its gravity is projected in various ways depending on the skill, okay, that we're practicing. So in the hand-to-hand swing, right, if you're performing a standard single arm swing, right, it's simple. We're trying to propel the bell in a straight line straight out in front of us, okay? So the forces that I'm creating, driving through the ground, and transferring into the bell, the projection of force is horizontal, okay? Now, in order that the bell doesn't continue to fly away from me at the top of a hand-to-hand swing, I need to manipulate the bell in some way to keep it close enough where I can grab it with my other hand without getting pulled, jerked forward, right? Without getting yanked this way or that way, okay? So in some way I need to slow down the path of that bell and control, more or less control the path of that kettlebell, okay? So what that means is at the top of the swing, just like in our standard, any other swing, right? I'm keeping my shoulder packed, anti-shrug, right? We're not gonna allow that shoulder to rise on us. At the same time, so I've got a packed shoulder. I'm gonna use the muscles of my upper back, okay, to slightly pull that handle towards me as the bell approaches the top of the swing. Okay. So it's that slight pull of the shoulder and the upper back muscles, right? Slight little bend in the elbow, okay? And slight little pull back on the handle that while that bell is floating, gonna keep the bell close enough where I can reach out, grab it with my opposite hand, with that same packed shoulder, engaged shoulder, and lat, I catch. Okay. Let's show you what a couple of those look like in a slow-mo. So as you see, just as that bell begins to float, or as I break the plane on my hips, I am pulling back through my upper back muscles, retracting my shoulder blade just enough, a little hook on the handle, find that float, switch hands, repeat.